I think there is power in the pause because if you can pause and maybe collect your thoughts and maybe you wait till later to say it or wait until you're not as emotional, I think that's very powerful.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another mini with Adventures in Business, Amandi and Amani. Oh, I just made us Amandi and Amani. That's kind of
That
fun.
works, that works.
Fun. So, Amani, I thought today we would talk about a video that I recently posted on TikTok that accidentally went viral. And we're not talking about because it went viral. I want to talk about the content of it. So, do you want to play the video first and then we'll
Yes.
just we'll have a talk about it?
Yes, we'll have a talk about it. Hold on. Here's the video,
Okay.
everyone.
Need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said by me now?
Okay. There's the video. So that was
Okay.
mom. Tell us who was in the video.
That's my mom, Kathy
Mhm.
K.
Hi, mom.
And I was having lunch with my mom and one of my girlfriends many years ago here in San Diego. And we were just talking about being married and how business relationships, personal relationships, just sometimes you don't always have to say everything that's on your mind, which is like a hard thing for me because I feel like if I'm not saying everything on my mind, I feel like I'm lying. That's just me because like I'm an honest person, but something my mom is a great tongue biter. She does a great job at knowing when to listen or when to speak up. And so my friend asked her, Kathy, how do you know when to speak up or when to keep it in? And that's what my mom said. Doesn't need to be said, doesn't need to be said by me, doesn't need to be said by me right now. So I recorded it, posted it, not thinking anything of it, instantly had like 10,000 people, loving it. And Mother's Day was yesterday. And I'm like, well, what's better than a TikTok with words of wisdom from my mom? I posted it instantly. People were attracted to it. And I thought, you know what? If this is something we need, let's talk about it. So I wanted to talk about that. Like, how many times, Amani, are you in a situation where you're like, okay, should I say this? Should I not say this? If I say this, what are the consequences? Or do you just like say everything? Like what's your stance on that kind of thing?
I'm probably at the opposite end of the scale where I probably don't say as much as I should. I'm harkening back to a previous relationship when I probably, well, actually, I did a good job of maybe not responding when someone was saying some really mean and disrespectful things. And so you can always fight fire with fire, but in the long run, that's not very good. So I think I have a little experience with that. I think the last point your mom said was, what was the last point she said? Does it need to be said?
Doesn't need to be said by me right now.
Okay. So I think there is power in the pause because if you can pause and maybe collect your thoughts and maybe you wait till later to say it or wait until you're not as emotional, I think that's very powerful. And that's something that I'm working on. So that's kind of my experience with it. Business wise, I might, if I feel strong about something, I'll say it right away. Otherwise, I might wait, say it later, or maybe wait and because I have a feeling that someone else will mention it too.
Mm,
How about you?
I love that. Well, I mean, I just blurt things out. I'm a blurter. And so this is a life's work for me. Like
Mhm.
I when somebody says something that hits me, I want to not retaliate, but I want to respond. I want to if and I have this thing with justice, which is not the greatest thing. It's great for my friends, like I want to protect my friends or family or my husband, but it doesn't always need to be said. It doesn't always need to be said by me, right? People can protect themselves. I don't need to do that. That's not my
Mhm.
role.
Yeah.
And in that moment, right, I think timing is important. So I think on a personal level, I'm probably a little more knee jerk reaction than on a professional level. I can time things out, but there are certain things that happen on a professional level where I do feel sometimes if I don't say this, who is going to say this?
Right.
And I need to remind myself, like, I don't need to bear that burden. It doesn't need to be on me. And these things will iron themselves out down the road. And then the timing of it, I just think for a 6-second video, there's just so much. So, like, let's piece this apart. Okay, does
Okay.
it need to be said? Let's piece that apart. Like,
Okay. Sometimes yes, sometimes maybe not, but most of the time, yes, it does need to be said. It's just when. But go on.
can you think of a time? Like, can you think of an example where you're like, I don't need if I need, I'm not sure if that person needed to say that, or I'm not sure if I think for myself, I think of examples like when we're in group meetings, like a committee meeting or something, and somebody's already made a point, and then somebody wants to just really say,
Yeah.
like, repeat that point, and in your head, you're like, that we get it, or
Yeah.
I think in the overselling, like when you're making a presentation or you're in a discovery call, you're in a negotiation and you're getting clear buy signals from the person on the other end.
Yeah.
I think that pause doesn't need to be said is good, because you don't, if you say one more thing, you could oversell or
Yes.
outsell,
You could lose the
right?
sale. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so I agree with that. Especially, sometimes people just like to hear themselves talk when really the point's been made, the ship has sailed, just let it be. It's good. We get it. Let's keep it moving. That's the problem with meetings. A lot of times people are saying the same thing and just it's said, let's go, keep it moving.
Yeah. Just keep it moving. And then does it need to be said by me? So, like, how have you been in that position before when you're like, is this on me? Is this on somebody else? Like, who needs
Yeah.
to be saying this right now?
I'm trying to think of a specific example for that one. That one, yeah, I'm struggling to find a specific example on that question currently. Let me keep thinking. What about for you?
This comes into play for me the older I get. When you're in a communication situation, in a coaching situation, for example, in group coaching, I used to feel like I needed to be the one that would bring the lesson. But the older and older I get, I realize in a group setting, people can solve their own problems amongst each other. And need, I, what I do more often is take a step back, and I'm more of a facilitator than I am the leader of the
Mhm.
conversation or a coach. And it's an age thing, right? Like, I am now most times one of the older people in the room, and so it's better for people to solve their own problems and realize they have this confidence, and they have it's kind of like, was that the Wizard of Oz, like Dorothy, when they're like, the answers were there the whole
All
time. Like, I
time.
feel
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
answers are always there. So that's something I have to I struggle with, and I have to practice of, like, I don't always need to be the one solving the problem. The answers are there. You just have to, like, sit back and watch the magic work.
Oh, so that happens a lot of times in my class, especially when we have a Discord. There'll be a question, and I'm like, I reviewed this in class. I don't need to repeat myself. And then another student will come and say, no, we reviewed this. This is the answer. So that comes up frequently in class, especially when people are asking questions like about things we've covered or due dates or something, and it's already written, it's already been discussed. I'm like, I talked to you all about that before twice. And someone will chime in and be like, no, no, let's do here because it's in this page and on that note or whatever.
That's good. Yeah. So, like, that doesn't need to be said by you or me, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else might
Yeah.
take that. I think also, like, yeah, the burden of making sure people do the right thing. Like, that's not always on you or me.
Yeah.
Somebody can carry that torch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what about timing? Does it need to be said by me right now?
I think if it's like work and maybe you're trying to address and correct someone's actions and they just had a specific action right then, you probably want to address it sooner than later so it's fresh. So you say, oh, well, why do you feel this way? Why did you do this right now? So that's what I could say, maybe. However, if it's more an emotional conversation, less about someone's actions, more about someone's emotions, it might behoove you to just give them some time to calm down and wait and be like, okay, earlier today when you said this is how you made me feel, or this is how it came across. Is that what you intended? Because if so, we might have a problem.
Yeah, the cool down.
Yeah.
The cool down is powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that doesn't need to be said by me right now. That reminds me of like seeing emails go back and forth. And sometimes people just need a little time to find their own solution. And even though you might have the answer, it's not your role to solve that, right? Like this happens with me with clients a lot. And then my conference in HPM business is watch emails go back and forth between the client and the hotel. And I'll want to answer it because I know the answer, but I understand that by me stepping in and offering the answer, it's retraining the client to come to me for everything instead of relying on the hotel. And at certain points, they should rely on the hotel. At certain points, they should rely on me. So if I step in out of order, right, then I'm messing up the natural process of things. So that's a good reminder of like, doesn't need to be said right now. And I also think if you're in the heat of the moment, like, don't send an email. Just don't send an email and sleep on it. Think about it and sleep on it. So I think that right now that timing is so powerful. So I got a lot out of rewatching that last night. And then all these people viewed it and I'm like, this might be something people want to talk more about. So I'm curious if you're listening or if you're watching, like, how do you control your cadence? Or how do you control whether it's you or not, or whether it needs to be said at all? Like, have you thought about that? Or what situations are you in that, in Mama K land?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know in the comments. Send us a message. Also, make sure that you rate, review, subscribe to the podcast if you're watching it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, any of the platforms. Leave us a note. And with that, we will see you next week for another mini. Take care, everyone.
See you next week. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.